Hello, it's Media King here again, and Shoaib speaking. First up, some coffee. That really recharges the brain. So, what we're going to do today is, like I mentioned last time, preventing overposting. So currently we expose the entire to-do object, which is the whole API, including the endpoints, which are attached in our minimal web API. But we need to remember we don't want it to be abused. We don't want people to overpost, etc. So in production applications, we can choose to just expose a subset, and we can restrict what people can post. So in terms of also obviously the inputs and what's returned. Now the reasons for this also include security, which is a major one, as well as hide other properties we don't want the clients to view, which could be most of your users. We want to omit some other properties to reduce the payload size, which is the object we use to send and receive in the requests and responses, and flatten the object which contains nested or the object graphs which contain the nested objects, and this can be more convenient for clients. So to do so, we'll use a DTO, and that means it's a subset of our object, which stands for data transfer object. A lot of you might call these input models or view models, very common. And obviously if you've done OOP programming, chances are you've used DTOs and models and developed model-based designs like MVVM or MVC, as well as entity framework, because you use models and any other ORMs. So let's see how we can do that and hide some of the properties today. So first thing, what we're going to do is create a DTO, and then well, I think we've already got DTO. We'll just update it to include the secret property, which will be a secret field. So let's do that right now. Okay, so we've got that here. Now if we look at our model, there's this class here, and we'll just paste that in. So it's easier to paste things in, less errors, quicker way to do stuff, obviously. So there's our secret property. We save that there, and then we'll hide that from the application. However, if we have like a backend app and client where the admins or developers need to view that, we can choose to do so and expose it. But for all other users, we'll choose to hide this. So what we're going to do is verify we can post and get the secret field. So now we're going to create a new file called the DTO. So if you remember, our model is our base object or record, but the DTO is almost like a controller which says, given such properties, display these, expose these, or hide those, etc. So we're going to create a new file. So right click in the project. Let's just have a look there. Yep, solution items to do. We'll find here. Now one thing I notice is our solution items, we have a to-do DB outside the main API project, which is, I believe, our DB context. Yep. Now we're just going to add our DTO. Let's just have a look here. Where do we add our DTO? Right here. So add new file, new item, and call this. We'll stick with our camel case again to do item DTO we don't want the pipe sign there, and add, and we can see that there. Cool, it's in that namespace now. Just copy this section of the code here just inside our class, because we've got our class definition and name already cut out for us. So I'll paste that there. So you can see here we will choose in the DTO to expose ID. The name is complete property. Also instantiate that object, and then once we do, we're saying only return those three and hide the secret field. Okay, so let's go for our camel case there again, and that one there. Finally, the to-do item itself, which is based off the to-do API. If we look at that there again, you can see this is our actual object. We'll save that there and go back in here and save that there. So if we look at our next step, now we'll replace, so what we've done here is we've updated our model, we've created a DTO. So this touches on repository based design. So you see in some projects developers who choose to go for a repository based design, which is our repository where the data sort of gets stored. So we're talking about the same things here. You'll see a lot of DTOs, and then we'll replace our program file, so our main starting point here. And before we do that, let's look at what it does here. That's new. I don't think there's a lot of new stuff here apart from our DTO, so let's see what we call that. To-dos. Yeah, there we go. So there's the, when we create in one, we will reference it here, to do item DTO, and then we're just choosing to add in the name and it's complete, and we can verify that only those items, those properties are added and only those properties are returned. Same goes for updating as well. And when we're getting yep, we bring back everything. Let me just check here. I thought I saw we needed to hide the secret field when we're getting that, but let's have a look how this looks like. Copy that code there, go back to Visual Studio, and we're going to replace it with the code they gave us. Then program. Right now we have 68 lines of code, and now we have 76. So we've added what, about 8 lines of code. And let's go back to our camel case. To do now the errors are going down. 10, 11, 10, 8. Here we go, I've just got 6 left now, I think. So we can step through this again. And let's see, we have 3. There we go, 1. Save that there. Now to really see this in practice, I'm just going to highlight where the DTO gets referenced, and we'll put breakpoints and see what it's doing in terms of our update. So DTO in the current document, when we get in the item, getting the completed items, when we're getting one item by ID, and when we create the item, and when we update the item. Okay, so let's run this now. Okay, application building. That's ready, listening. Now let's try to get items first. Let's see what happens. I'm just going to leave in fact, let me show you the whole end to end. We'll close the DB context. That's a bit too low level. So in terms of application and the API flow, we'll start in program, or we'll hit our endpoint first. We'll go to program, go into the method. The method goes into the DTO. The DTO then requests the object, which is our database record essentially. So if we try to do get first, here we are, get all items. We'll get back 0 because again, fresh restart, there's nothing saved in the in-memory database. So if we look here, X, we'll see results view, enumeration yielded no results, meaning nothing was returned. Continue. Check the result. Oh, there was a timeout, was there? Let's try that again. Expected that to complete. Again, 0. Continue. There, we can see 200. Obviously, the response was successful, 200, but there's no result because there's no data or records in our in-memory database. So what we'll do is we'll add one. Again, we'll do cooked dinner. This time it's true because I've gone away and cooked some chicken. If you care to know, save, and let's add the item. Now this is what I mean. So we've gone into the HTTP or endpoint program. We've hit the endpoint. Endpoint goes through to our DTO to add the item. It got there because it was called by create to do. It would have been around this stage here where we add, but we don't have the breakpoint there until we're ready to return it down here, which we'll see in the results. So if I continue first, we'll see the item we've added, ID 1, ID 0, raise type from 0, name, cooked dinner is complete true, yes true, and if we look at continue, we'll see it here. I believe we should be able to see that secret field, which is here, and that should be 0, should be null. We look at the item now. To the item is there. Secret field now, as expected, because we didn't add anything to the secret field, because we said, we look at the code, We'll look at the code here. We said the secret field will be hidden from this app. Okay. We're only adding what we want to. However, we could choose to add it, which I'll show you that as an example next. Continue. And now we've gone into the DTO. We can see it's complete true, etc. Continue. There you go. In fact, our item should have been returned. I think because of the timeout, some 20 seconds, it errors out there. But if we get all items, we should see that. Our cook, that's now on true. Let's check in there. There it is there, position 0. Cook dinner, true, 1, secret no. This time we'll add a secret for tomorrow's dinner. Continue. And again, if we do get all items, you can see the item returned there. Now let's add a new, let's add secret to there, secret property, and give it a value of don't tell anyone. Let's pretend it's false, save that, and this time, because we're passing in secret, think of the situation where, let's say your end users in an application or website have added a secret, but we don't want every other user to view it. We just need to see name and is complete, but we want the admins to view the secrets of everyone. So in this case, we'll be able to do that. Obviously, in a real world production application, you might add extra controls to safeguard that properly. But let's have a look, send that request. So now if we look, we've got an ID. Name of cook dinner is complete false. We don't see secret because we haven't added it to the DTO yet, but let's see if it gets added to the object. Again, if you look in here, we could see the items here. Again, secret null because it hasn't been added to the object. So again, it'll be null, and the third time I'll show you how to add it to the object to complete that request fully. Complete, and if we get the items, you can see there's 2 items. Obviously, they're returned there. We expected that secret to be exposed and to be shown there. Now will be a final step, so let's do that right now. Go to program, to do first, and this time we'll choose, we know it's in our object, but we're not adding it into the DTO. Let's now say we want to see it in the DTO for the admin application. We could do public, and what type was it? It was a string. We could just copy this really from our object, paste it there. So they may look the same, but obviously, like I mentioned, the object, class, and the DTO serve different purposes. And let's save that there. And then we'll go to, we'll just refresh the application. While it's doing that, I can. Okay, the application has started. Let's have a look now. We'll be almost at the middle stage where we've got the secret, but we haven't exposed it yet because we're not returning it in the get to do endpoint, which is I believe it's over here. And also to get to do item, that should bring back everything in here. So let's have a look. So get items, again, it'll be nothing. all null because they don't exist. Let's add an item. Let's remove this first just to check it's working. So an item, ID 0, name, cooked dinner, false, secret, null, as expected. So there's the item with the secret null because we haven't added anything. And this time around we will add that. Whoops. Okay, secret, don't tell anyone. Save that there. And say it's been cooked, but it's a secret, so don't tell anyone. Save. And pass that through. So hit send request. And now we can see ID 0, name, cooked dinner is complete true, secret, don't tell anyone. The secret has been passed through this time. Continue. We could sit here as well, we should do. Not yet. Why? Because our object here hasn't deconstructed that. I pull it out from the request. No problem, we'll do that on the next time round. And we'll see here, if we get that item, secret will be null. There you go, secret null, blah blah, same thing. And this time we'll do false. We haven't cooked dinner. We'll need to change our where are we? Where was the object? Again, items, is it down here? Yes, so when we create it, we need to pass it through, and when we get it, we need to pull it out. But that should be automatically done. We just need to pass it through when we're creating it. Secret, it knows the property from our model, and to the item BTO as passed through dot secret. Save, and we might need, let's just restart the application. Sometimes you don't have to restart the application, but it's always best to do so, especially if it's very small like this. That looks okay there. App is running. And let's start again. No to-do items exist. Add one in there without the secret first. You can see secret is null, but everything else is filled in. Okay, there it is there. Now let's add a secret to do the next request. We'll say it's not cooked. That's why it's a secret, so false, save, and send request. This time, don't tell anyone, it's complete false, and continue. Now we're using, obviously we're posting, so the create to do item, it should have been added as passed through. Let's have a look. There you go, don't tell anyone, save to the database, and we'll return that item. Now here, it's not been returned yet. Okay, because let's have a look. Do we do a get in between? Okay, secrets null. Continue. Okay, if we get all the items now, let's have a look. Should be 2 items. First one secret null, second one we've got our secret there as added, so continue. And there we go. Now this final point, because our get request hasn't exposed the secret property, although we're passing it through all the way almost all the way, and we're adding it to the database. The final straw is when we're pulling it out in our get request, we need to see this property as well. And I believe that's this section here. okay, what a to-do item represents. So let's just update that there. For readability, I'm just going to push these down. To do yoff. That is not how you spell to do. To do item. Dot. There's no IntelliSense because I've forgotten my comma here. Okay, and finally secret. Now let's have a look at that again. Save again. I'm gonna do a quick restart, and I can have another sip of the best beverage. Okay. Application seems happy. Again, get your items. Nothing exists. Just add a plain item. We could see false, cooked dinner, secret is null. Even down here. Let's go continue. Yeah, we'll see secret is null, but it's complete. Everything else has been pulled through. Continue. So by me hovering over these properties and object, some of you senior engineers might get irritated, but I always like to remind myself each minute step, each small increment, even where I'm at within the application, in its brain, what's going on, what will come next, what came before it. And for juniors and mid-level, this will help you a lot as well. Yeah, by the way, I'm not a senior, and whatever that means. And but I've got some experience. Let's have a look. To do item again. Secret is null. Push that through. Okay, now we should see the item back here. I'm going to click through a bit quicker this time to escape that timeout. There's the item. Now this time we're going to add a secret. Don't tell anyone. Although we've cooked it, so we'll go for true. Okay, don't forget your comma because this is JSON format. Save and add that through. So first step, our secret has been passed through to our DTO. We can see that there. It's down there as well as the object. Is it in our model? Yes, it is. Continue again. And will it be returned? Well, we're just completing the return, the creation, the request first. Still, is it in there? Yes, it is. Continue. Now I believe we're on the return journey back. Is complete. Secret is there. Continue. And let's have a look. If we get the item now, I think we went over 20 seconds, that's why, but we can get it with our get request. And let's have a look in here. To do items, we've got 2. And don't tell anyone should be returned. Let's have a look. Secret. Oh, secret is now. Let's. Okay, on the second one, this is our second item. Don't tell anyone. Okay, again for each property. Let's have a look. Oh, there's a bit of a timeout there. Let me do that a bit faster. There you go. First item, position 1. Because 0 has already been taken up. I restart at 0, but because we didn't restart, that position was taken up. So we begin at 1. The secret was null. However, in our second one, we could see the secret came through. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed this session again, and you've learned a lot. And in the next session, what we'll be looking at is a few more cool stuff like configuring JSON serialization options, the exception page in development environments, and everything else down here. So until next time, have a good day. Oh, before I go, make sure you like and subscribe.